Hey guys, today is Thursday, April 19th. Welcome to Millennial Max. So today we're going to talk about putting things into perspective when it comes to where we are currently at as far as the adoption and the public sentiment of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and utilization of the blockchain. So for millennials out there, we don't really remember a world without the internet. My dad, I think it was like 97, 98, maybe even 96, got us a Compaq.
What do President Clinton, conservative radio personality Rush Limbaugh, and rock star Billy Idol have in common? They've all got electronic mail addresses on computer systems linked to the internet, a global hookup that permits computers to exchange information. In 1981, only 213 computers were hooked to the internet. As the new year begins, an estimated 2.5 million computers will be on the network, serving as many as 20 million people. Almost 2001, and the technologies that bring us telephones, TV, and computers are merging.
5 years from now, we're not going to have distinct cable and telephone industries. There's going to be one industry, and there'll be companies carrying bits, little pieces of information from point A to point B.
Give me the University Research Network.
A promotional video put out 5 years ago by Apple Computer envisioned people talking to computer terminals and to one another through video phone links by the year 2010.
Hi, Mike. What's up?
For any of our viewers who have access to internet, we invite your comments.
Well, before, the internet took off and everything, there were many opposed to it. And there were a lot of people who said, it will never happen, it'll never catch on, it's for criminals, it's ridiculous, yada, yada, yada. The point is, before I go any further, a lot of you guys have probably heard about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but you've probably also heard of some big people, in the world, very famous, important, intelligent people say, completely attempt to discredit it and say, it'll never work, it'll never happen. And a lot of the time in life, we have a tendency to look at someone of importance and assume, oh, they must know everything because they're successful. And a lot of the time, those people, when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain, the best example I can give you, Kevin O'Leary and Mark Cuban. I think it was a year ago, they came out with comments that said, I don't understand it, doesn't make sense, oh, there's nothing tangible. Kevin O'Leary's big argument was, I can't short it, so it's not real, and this, and that. Well, now we have the CME and the SIBO, and you can short it, and you can trade futures on it. The point is Mark Cuban and Kevin O'Leary were totally against cryptocurrency and blockchain about a year ago. They've changed their minds all of a sudden. They went from one spectrum, say absolutely not, to the other where they say, okay, this could definitely be the future.
An owner of a very prestigious brand hotel in this city is going to internationally issue an asset-based coin for ownership, and you'll participate in the distribution of a smart contract through the blockchain. You will be an owner of a third of this hotel.
Wow.
If this works, it's going to be the first of its kind. I'm very excited about it.
Because it's real assets behind the whole thing.
And it's SEC approved. This is the issuance. Instead of a stock, a share, it's a coin with a smart contract approved by the SEC. I'm excited about it. I'm involved in it. I hope it works.
Way of doing this?
It's completely liquid, completely transparent, and the smart contract gives you ownership in perpetuity. You can sell the coin to somebody. The blockchain smart contract discloses
So this
that.
really puts on its head the notion of going public. I mean, instead of going public on the New York Stock Exchange, you're here at the NASDAQ, for instance, you could do this, right? Cut out the investment bankers potentially or limit their fees.
I'm in glee over
And you're
this.
giving investors assets as opposed to an ICO, initial coin offering, in which there may not be anything there. It's more like a donation to the company.
Sure, and the issuer is thinking instead of paying 5 to 7% commission, they may get millions of people buying $20 or $50 worth of this asset. So the cost of the issuance is very low.
If it works, you're going to see tremors across Wall Street because that's going to disrupt.
It's 400 million.
Here.
It's a big number. It's enough to. That's not a huge number on Wall Street, but it's enough to say this works.
And what do you think of people like Jamie Dimon saying it's a fraud?
It's interesting because I think there's a lot of assets that are just, their values based off supply and demand. You know, most stocks, there's no intrinsic value because you have no true ownership rights, no voting rights. You know, you just have the ability to buy and sell those stocks. They're like baseball cards. And I think Bitcoin's the same thing. Its value is a function of supply and demand. It doesn't really do anything else. I have bought some. I bought it through an ETN based on a Swedish exchange because that gave me liquidity.
Pure Bitcoin?
Pure Bitcoin, yeah. And I'm also involved with ICOs, actually token sales, because I think blockchain is a great platform for future applications. There will, just like the net and streaming created multiple great companies, I think blockchain will as well.
You know, it's funny, I was talking to my little brother yesterday. He's 15 and he totally gets it. We've been talking about current cryptos for a year, and he knows probably more than, you know, he knows way more than your average person. And he goes, oh, it already is mainstream, everybody knows about it. I said, no, it is not mainstream. It's still very, very early. People have heard of Bitcoin. They've heard of blockchain now. Some people, a lot of people haven't. You know, in Europe, I talk to people and they say, oh, that thing Bitcoin, I think I was too late and it's over. I've heard a lot of people say that. So anyways, so if we're comparing where we're at in cryptocurrency to the internet, I'd say we're between 1993 and 1995. With that being said, we now actually have a functioning internet that delivers, you know, content to everyone's smartphone instantly, which causes trends and information to spread extremely rapidly. I mean, Yodel Boy, you know, it goes from being a joke to being at Coachella in a week. That was never conceptualized to ever be possible in a million years before the internet. Then the adoption of the internet, then smartphones. So obviously with smartphones, information spreads extremely, extremely fast. And I think with the internet and smartphones, the adoption of cryptocurrency over the next 5 years will be equivalent to 10 or 15 years, you know, after the internet in 95. So in a best case scenario, that would put us in 5 years, you know, where, you know, 3 times faster adoption rate than the internet from 95 till 2010. Let's go back to 2010-ish, or you know, right before there. The first iPhone wasn't released until June 29th of 2007. Copy and paste wasn't even available on an iPhone until June of 2009. For you Android fans out there, the HTC G1, which was Google's first smartphone running Android, wasn't released until October of 2008. And the G1 actually had a physical keyboard, and it was kind of a mix between Android and a Sidekick.
I hate recipes that use slang.
Big Boy's making brisket and wants to know how much padded butter is.
With IM, phone, web, and more. Everybody needs a sidekick.
If you had a Sidekick, that was a big deal. And I think it was like, oh, they're like $400 or $500. I mean, you know, the new iPhone 10, 256 gig was like $1,200. So is that just technology? Technology's gotten cheaper, yet smartphones have gotten way better, the technological capabilities, but maybe a little inflation factored in there too. I don't know. And then I'll never forget seeing the commercial for Motorola's Droid.
Does your phone do searches? Does your phone do searches, for example, the word human? Droid does.
But I remember pre-ordering it after I saw the commercial, and it just looked so cool. I remember telling my dad, and he had a BlackBerry before anyone had a BlackBerry. I mean, he always talks about it. You know, man, as soon as I got my BlackBerry, I could email so fast, and they called them crackberries because, 1 second. No, I was just saying my dad had a BlackBerry, and that was the first time you could send email really from a phone, from a mobile device. I mean, it was completely revolutionary, and you had BlackBerry Messenger. I remember saying to my dad, it's weird, I guess you can kind of choose how you want to set up your Droid. Like, you can move the little buttons around, because remember, apps wasn't a household term yet. It was an application, and in your head, an application was this thing. Please download this application on your computer. It was this big file that took forever. It wasn't anything like it was today. Well, another reason, guys, is it's hard for people who didn't grow up with the internet. It's hard for older people, Warren Buffett. I mean, if you're above 40 years old, it's hard for a lot of people to conceptualize cryptocurrency and the blockchain because it's math, it's not physical. It's so dependent on you know, just technology and the internet. So, you know, after doing some research, you find out that when the internet was first coming out, people said the exact same things they say about cryptocurrency and the blockchain. They don't say about, now the people are starting to say, well, I think the blockchain is great, but Bitcoin is not good. Okay, they used to say things like, it's only for criminals, I don't need it, why would I want it? It doesn't make sense. Some network connected to everybody, I don't understand. Why do I need that? I've got the newspaper to read my news, and I can send a mail and a postcard. I mean, you got to really think how far we've come, guys. And in 10 years, the whole world is connected. People always ask me, do you miss home? Do you miss your friends? And naturally, of course, but I'm able to talk on the phone for free over I'm able to HD video, you know, FaceTime people for free, instantaneously. It's not like I'm missing much. And with the, you know, Instagram coming around and I mean, Snapchat, Insta stories, you're able to see exactly what your friends are doing. So it's funny, it doesn't really, group chats, you don't really feel like you're missing that much. And I pulled up Cliff Stoll. Cliff Stoll is an American astronomer, author, and teacher. He's best known for his investigation in 1986 while working as a systems administrator at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. He actually led the capture of hacker Marcus Hess, and he wrote a book, The Cuckoo's Egg, in which he details the whole investigation of how he caught this guy. This is going back in 1986. Okay, so this guy was way ahead of the curve when it came to the internet. So here's an actual article he wrote. The internet? Bah! Hype alert. Why cyberspace isn't and will never be nirvana. After 2 decades online, I'm perplexed. It's not that I haven't had a gas of a good time on the internet. I've met great people and even caught a hacker or two. But today, I'm uneasy about this most trendy and oversold community. Visionaries see a future of telecommuting workers, interactive libraries, and multimedia classrooms. They speak of electronic town meetings and virtual communities. Commerce and business will shift from offices and malls to networks and modems. And the freedom of digital networks will make government more democratic. Baloney. Do our computer pundits lack all common sense? The truth is, no online database will replace your daily newspaper. No CD-ROM can take the place of a competent teacher, and no computer network will change the way government works. Let's skim through that one more time. This is a guy who's been on the internet since 1986 and was on the internet for 20 years when he said this. The truth is, no online database will replace your daily newspaper, no CD-ROM can take the place of a competent teacher, and no computer network will change the way government works. He also goes on to say, then there's cyber business. We're promised instant catalog shopping, just point and click for great deals. We'll order airline tickets over the network, make restaurant reservations, and negotiate sales contracts. Stores will become obsolete. So how come my local mall does more business in an afternoon than the entire internet handles in a month? Even if there were a trustworthy way to send money over the internet, which there isn't, the network is missing a most essential ingredient of capitalism: salespeople. I'll link the article in the description, but the point is, this guy knew more about the internet than anyone, was way ahead of his time, and he never saw it turning into what it's turned into today. If you want to really learn about blockchain and get a visionary's idea of where it's going, go look up Andreas Antonopoulos. I'll link his YouTube channel below, but the guy does such a great job of laying out a vision of how things are going to change and why the system is currently broken. I mean, there's the guy on the internet sitting there saying there's no way to safely send money over the internet. So we're kind of in a weird way where we have PayPal or you have your bank sending money, but we have not advanced when it comes to everything about the internet has advanced except for money. So cryptocurrency took a little time to get here, but now it's here and it's going to get ready for some huge things. We're still a little ways off from being able to handle the amount of transactions that Visa and MasterCard can handle right now, but it's just a matter of time, guys. Moore's Law. So thank you for taking some time to watch this video. I hope you learned something. This has been Millennial Max. I'm signing out. Hit that like button if you got some good information. Leave me a comment about what you think. So stay thankful. Have a great day. Millennial Max signing out. Live life to the max because the world is yours.